you work a lot with the school system and yeah, feeding the children. I'm actually not familiar with Wellness in the Schools. So tell us about what Wellness in the Schools. You've been affiliated with them for years now.
Yes, Wellness in Schools is an organization started by 3 moms in one classroom a couple days a week, just cooking healthy food for the kids. It blossomed. Now we're in 50 schools, and basically what we do is we go into schools, and with the 3-year program, we do a scratch cook. We try to eliminate almost all the processed food in the cafeteria. We bring a cook in to help teach and train the cafeterias this sort of cooking again, and then we also do cooking classes and in the classrooms a few times a year, and we also have a coach program where we go into the recess yard with a coach, somebody we hire from college, who can go into the recess yard. So 2 things happen: it prevents bullying, and it gets the least active kid active. So the idea is that you get this healthy lunch, you run around in the recess yard, and you have all this energy to get through the second part of the day. Because if you're eating a lot of sort of processed food and you're just sitting around afterwards, you get tired. I mean,
Hence the obesity problem in America.
yes, the obesity problem in America, and also it's you want the kids to be able to have the best opportunity to get the best education they can get, whether they're in public school or private school. So that's the point why we go into these schools.
That's awesome. What age group do you typically work with?
We typically work with K through 8. And so I'm the executive chef of the organization. So through the years, I've worked and developed recipes with the DOE, and we've put a monthly menu together that we work with and change and evolve that, and then try to base it on try to work with the communities, because there's some there's a lot of Latinos and different Latino groups in there.
They like their fried food.
Well, no, not so much,
but don't we all?
Some is different. The Mexican community likes something different than the Dominican community that likes different from the the Caribbean community. So we kind of try to work with that. And a lot of schools have higher percentages of each of those countries or.
So then you can find whatever it is that they like, and then you can incorporate the healthy foods, eliminate the processed junk, and encourage these kids to kind of, want the healthy food rather than whatever it is.
I also think that and with the cooking classes, it sort of gives them a different. You basically the idea behind the cooking class is to cook what they're eating in the cafeteria. So they may not want it at first, but once they learn how to cook it, it's generally easier to get a kid to taste something when they cook something, and then then you could just say, hey, this is in your cafeteria, and it's going to be on your this day, and they'll try it.
Yeah, that's great. That's really wonderful. Have you had any feedback from it as far as whether or not the obesity levels have gone down, if kids are tending to be a little more
right.
to learn quicker?
Well, it's tough to really. We're going through an evaluation process these days, but it's tough to say, hey, without getting the kids on the scales or anything like that. But what we've been hearing from principals throughout that are involved is that behavioral problems have gone down in some of the schools, because the idea is that if you're eating less processed food, that the kids will behave better. I don't know, I guess so. But we've been seeing behavioral problems go down. We've seen in certain cases principals have talked to us about grades going up, but just a general better feeling. The culture changes too. Kids are more now talking about food. I think that the thing is, people don't realize how important food is to their body. Right. And the thing is, it's like if you ate a chicken nugget and it killed you instantly, we wouldn't have chicken nuggets. But it doesn't kill you instantly. Slowly it'll kill you. It'll raise your sugar levels. I mean, diabetes is linked to obesity levels, high blood pressure. I mean, I've been in schools where kids are going into the nurse's office to get insulin shots because they're the high diabetes they have. So
when we were in school, I mean, honestly, you really just never found that. And type 2 diabetes in children has become so huge now. So it's wonderful that you're doing this. Hopefully, it keeps spreading.
I think the word's spreading. I mean, if you think about, there was a point in the early 80s where, hunger was sort of stripped away, and video games became, the hunger issue, hunger in America was at a pretty low point before the 80s, and then as that money was taken away and cheaper food had to be given to poor people, that has sort of raised those levels of obesity through the processed food, because that's empty calories. Your body's not getting anything out of it. And also video games, think about it. So kids are just sitting around now more. They're not out in the yard playing. So that's this sort of attacks those 2 issues.
That's perfect. That's absolutely wonderful. I hope that it spreads out a little bit more, because it sounds like such a phenomenal program.
Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, any other organizations you work with? I know you're really, really big on charity and kind of reaching out there.
Well, one that we do together, right? I think you're heavily involved in Alex's Lemonade.
Well, I wouldn't say I'm heavily involved, but I just recently kind of discovered it because someone that I was on The Bachelor and the Bachelor pad with, Graham Bunn, he hosts it or at least puts a little event together here in New York
Right.
every year, and you go to it usually.
Yeah, yeah, that one I've done to a couple times a year, and then it started in Philadelphia with Alex's parents and Mark Vetri, and actually with Alex herself, who actually started the lemonade stand.
Tell us about Alex, and because she started this little lemonade stand. She had cancer, yeah, and she was a little
Yeah.
girl.
Yeah,
Tell
I
us
think
about Alex.
The story is that she after she got out of the hospital one of the times, she wanted to help raise money for the kids that were still in the hospital. So she started a lemonade stand and raised like a couple $100. And then she went back into the hospital and she came out again. And the next time, someone in the press, local press, got wind of it, and then it just sort of built onto a couple hundred lemonade stands, and it went from $20 to $2,000 to $200,000. And Mark Vetri, a chef in Philadelphia, got involved. And we do a lot of chef events where chefs are involved, and we do a tasting table or we cook a dinner for 10 people. And Mark got involved and started that program. Started the event there, and it came to New York. And Suzanne Goyen, who's a chef out in L.A., started doing one in L.A. So it's grown quite a bit. They raised a lot of money for it.